Well, good morning, Facebook land. Peter Holst here, Dr. Peter Holst here, Middletown Health, Wellness, and Chiropractic, with my morning message for Monday, July 27th, 2020. And today I'd like to just talk about an interaction, a conversation I had with a returning patient, a patient that we had been seeing who dropped out of care for whatever reason, and then decided to come back last week. And so we'll call him Paul. Paul, after his adjustment on Friday, got up from the table and he said, "You know what? I got to ask you a question." He says, "The vertebrae that you adjusted today in my neck was the same spot, I think, the same spot that you adjusted on Wednesday and on Monday. And why is that? Why is it that you need to adjust the same segment, the same bone, just 2 days later, repeatedly?" And that's an awesome question. That's an awesome question. So what I am adjusting here in the office are joints, segments between vertebrae that have become stuck in their movement. So they become stuck in their movement from trauma, stress, injuries, falls, and one of the biggest forms of trauma is posture. So how you're hanging your head, how you're hanging or keeping that curve in your mid back, what's going on in your low back. Are you do you have a sway back with an increased curve here? When you're sitting up straight or you're leaning to the side all the time. When you're standing, are you standing up straight with equal weight through both legs, or are you standing on one leg with your hip kind of cocked to the side? All of those things create what we call micro trauma, little bitty injuries that occur repeatedly day in and day out. And then before long, the muscles tighten up because of the stress on the joints. The ligaments tighten up because of the stress on the joints. And before long, we've got scar tissue within the muscles and ligaments between the little tiny joints. Where is that camera? Right there, between the little tiny joint. There it is. Little tiny joints right there. They get scar tissue with the muscles and ligaments, and restriction is found, a lack of movement, a reduction in movement, and that, my friends, is that mechanical dysfunction, that mechanical problem is putting stress and pressure on the nerves that are coming out there, but because of the mechanics of the whole thing, it might put a stress and pressure higher or lower on those nerves as well. So we want to make sure that the spine is flexible and moving. All those joints are moving as best that they can, and so we will adjust those those segments until they start to move better. I was going to say more better, but until they move better. So how do we prevent those? Well, we prevent those micro traumas, a little bit of injuries, by being cognizant of our posture. Again, are we standing straight, sitting straight? But we also should be aware of how we move our bodies. And so about 20 years ago, I became a certified instructor with a company called BackSafe. BackSafe is out of California. It's a company that trains chiropractors like me. There's a little over 1,000 of us across the country that go into industry, and we teach or we train workers, employees, on ways to avoid injury. It's a valuable program for them to keep them healthy and safe and help them to enjoy their life outside of work. And it's an important, valuable program for the employers, because now it's keeping their valuable asset, their employees, on the job, right? What a concept. And so one of the things that I teach and train with these workers are the 3 rules of lifting. Okay, so if you follow the 3 rules of lifting, then you're less likely to create that micro trauma, or the micro trauma will be reduced. So the first rule of lifting is to keep the load close. Whenever you're lifting something, you don't want to be reaching. You want to bring it to you, slide it to you, move into it, so that when you're lifting it, it's close to your body. For every foot away from your body that the weight is, it magnifies the weight into your low back by mechanics, leverage, over 100 times. So if you're lifting a 10-pound box out here, a foot away from your body, I know you can't see my hands, but out here, a foot away from your body, that's like 1,000 pounds to your low back. So it's important to keep the load close. Load close. Second rule of lifting is to load close, head up. This is the one I always forget. Head up. So when you're lifting something, you have to look. You have to keep your head down to look at the weight that you're lifting. But before you lift, what we suggest is that you lift your head. By lifting your head, you keep your spine from curving down like this. So lifting your head helps to avoid that extra curve, which puts extra stress and pressure on your back. So the first rule is load close. Second rule is head up. Okay. The third rule of lifting is to keep your nose between your toes. That's a fancy way of saying avoid twisting. If the load is over here, turn and face it. If the weight is over here, turn and face it. We don't want to be twisting while you're lifting, because it's that extra torsion on the discs that'll put extra pressure and stress and create that herniation, create that micro trauma that we talk about in the office, and then you'll have to come in and see me. So what are the three rules? Load close, head up, nose between your toes. And if you do those things, you'll avoid injury. And there was one other thing I wanted to say, but it eludes me right now. So I'm going to leave it at that unless it pops in within the next half a minute. Yeah, no. So load close, head up, nose between your toes. Yep, that's it. That's it for now. In the meantime, I'm going to suggest that you come on in for a spinal checkup. The more we let those micro traumas to fester and become worse, the more scar tissue that's going to be there, and the harder it is for me to fix it. Okay, so head up, load close, nose between your toes. You have a great and awesome day, and we will see you on Wednesday morning when we'll do another Facebook Live. That's it for now. Take care. Stay cool out there today. It's going to be a hot one. Have a good one. Bye.